Imagine a painting so universally popular that it hung in tens of thousands of homes, yet so uniquely sinister that it was widely blamed for a devastating wave of house fires. This isn't a fictional horror premise. It's the bizarre and true story of an innocuous mass-produced print that became one of the most infamous urban legends in modern British history. This simple portrait of a tearful child, known as the Crying Boy, wasn't just found in the ashes of these blazes. According to reports from the very firefighters battling the infernos, the painting itself would often be the only thing left untouched. Everything else, furniture, walls, and belongings reduced to cinders, while the portrait remained eerily, perfectly intact. This is the factual history and folklore behind the so-called blazing curse of the Crying Boy, only on this episode of The Daily Strange. Hello everyone and welcome to The Daily Strange, a special October 2025 video per day blitz of the paranormal, specifically cryptids, monsters, and the supernatural. I'm your host, John F. Murs, author, actor, adventurer. So, the story begins innocently in the 1950s with an Italian painter known by the pseudonym Giovanni Bragolin, though his legal name was Bruno Amadio. Amadio, a post-war artist working in Venice, created a series of sentimental portraits featuring children with mournful, tear-streaked faces. These were often marketed as representations of young war orphans, designed to evoke sympathy. This series wasn't just one painting. Bragolin produced at least 65 variations featuring both boys and girls, all tearful, which only amplified the print's saturation in the market. The most famous of these was one that would simply become known as the Crying Boy. These paintings were not unique masterpieces. They were widely reproduced as inexpensive prints on hardboard sold across Europe and became an incredibly popular piece of kitsch art in the United Kingdom throughout the 1960s and 70s. By the early 1980s, estimates suggest tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of these prints were hanging in homes across Britain. This widespread distribution is a crucial non-supernatural fact to remember as the legend begins to unfold. The curse narrative exploded into public consciousness in September of 1985. The British tabloid newspaper The Sun ran a sensational front-page story with the headline, "Blazing Curse of the Crying Boy." The article focused on Ron and May Hall of Rotherham, whose home was severely damaged by a fire. Their account and the foundation of the legend was simple. The fire had destroyed their entire house, which was blamed on a faulty chip pan, but the print of the Crying Boy was found hanging on the wall, completely undamaged. Crucially, the story was validated by a firefighter named Peter Hall, no relation to the couple, who claimed that he and his colleagues had noticed an unsettling pattern. He reported that undamaged copies of the Crying Boy were frequently found amidst the wreckage of fire-damaged homes across Yorkshire. The fire officer went on record stating that he had logged as many as 50 such incidents since 1973 where the picture survived the blaze. Soon after the initial story, the newspaper received an overwhelming response. Hundreds of readers called in with similar tales reporting that their prints had survived fires that had gutted their homes or linking the painting to a run of bad luck. The reported incidents included house fires in Liverpool, Great Yarmouth, and various parts of Yorkshire, with fire officers sometimes reporting the only unburnt item being the cursed portrait. The fear became so intense that the Sun organized a large-scale public mass bonfire on Halloween in 1985, encouraging readers to send in their paintings to be ritually destroyed to break the alleged curse. Thousands of prints were reportedly burned. Despite the widespread hysteria, factual investigations point to a far more mundane yet still fascinating explanation. The British comedian and writer Steve Punt investigated the story for the BBC Radio 4 show Punt PI. His team conducted a forensic test on an authentic print at the building research establishment. The scientific conclusion was that the prints were likely made with a specific dense type of hardboard and possibly coated with a protective fire retardant varnish during mass production. Furthermore, because the inexpensive prints were often hung high on walls using only a small piece of string, the string would be the first thing to burn in a major fire. This would cause the picture to fall face down onto the floor. With the face protected and the fire retardant backing material on top, the print was perfectly positioned to survive the fire that consumed the rest of the room. The fact is, while the curse is an engaging piece of folklore, the correlation between the painting and the fires is likely explained by three factors. The print's high popularity, more prints meant more chances to be in a fire. The frequency of domestic chip pan fires in the 1980s, and the protective materials used in the print's manufacturing. The legend itself is a recurring topic in online forums and social media. People continue to find the prints in vintage shops and attics, with many joking about the potential curse. In 2017, a post on Reddit detailed a family's copy surviving a house fire, showing that while the media frenzy has died, the eerie story of the crying boy remains a powerful, compelling, and enduring piece of cultural urban legend. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of The Daily Strange, getting ever closer to the 31st. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bells so you don't miss any of my new chilling episodes. And I will see you tomorrow for another episode of The Daily Strange. Good night.